Welcome to Philosophy and Critical Thinking. In this video, I'll be putting forward a thought experiment called The Child in the Hunting Tribe, a thought experiment on the morality of socialism. Imagine a tribe in the wilderness. In this tribe, a child has just become old enough to participate in the hunting with the rest of the tribe. During the hunt, the child is successful in killing one of the animals. At the end of the hunt, all of the tribesmen and the child head back to the village to put all the animals together. And the tradition is to put all the animals together, cook them up, and share them amongst the tribe. One of the tribesmen approaches the child to collect his kill to be put in with the rest of the animals. The child immediately protests. No, this is my kill. I'm the one that killed it. I should keep it for myself. I want to eat it for myself since I'm the one that killed it. The tribesman accepts this and collects all the rest of the meat to be shared amongst the tribe, and the child cooks the meat himself and keeps it for himself. The next day, the child goes out hunting with the rest of the tribe once again, but this time he's unsuccessful in killing any animals. He was a bit unlucky. He just missed when he should have hit the animal, and at the end of the day, he leaves without any kills being made. The tribe are starting to collect all the meat, and they're cooking it all up, and they start to share it amongst the tribe. The child approaches to receive some of the meat, and then all the tribesmen turn and protest. Wait a minute. You didn't do any kills today. You didn't kill any of these animals. We did. So it's for ours to eat ourselves, not for you. So that evening, the child went hungry without eating any meat. The next day, the child went out hunting. He was successful again, but this time he shared his kill amongst the tribe. So the question we can ask from this thought experiment was the lesson the tribe taught the child a good moral lesson? So as you can tell from the story, the fact that they told him not to, that he couldn't have any of the shared meat because he didn't get it himself, was to teach him a lesson about his behavior when he did catch the meat himself and he wanted to keep it all for himself, as opposed to sharing it amongst the tribe. The lesson you can tell from this is rather obvious, is that you should share it. He should have shared it. Do you think the lesson was a good moral lesson? Or did you think it was not a good moral lesson? Are you on the side with the child? Or would you be on the side with the tribe? If you took the side of the tribe that you did think it was a good moral lesson, then the moral lesson that you were in favour of is a principle which is known as each according to their ability and each according to their need. This is because the moral lesson the tribe was trying to teach the child was that you should share what you have with people that need it, and also that we expect each person to contribute according to their ability. For instance, in this particular thought experiment or this story, is that, well, they're accepting that sometimes you'll go out to it and do a hunt and you'll be successful, and sometimes you won't be successful. But regardless, you will need to eat that night. So we will treat each person according to their need. So this is the principle which the tribe was grounding their morality in. And funnily enough, if some of you may or may not be aware, this principle is the principle of socialism, of specifically Marxist socialism, which is each according to their ability and each according to their need. This thought experiment doesn't require too much of our imagination because this is actually how hunter-gatherer societies typically worked. There's been a lot of research on this matter. One of the main books, I think, which delves into this most specifically, comes from Frederick Engels, called Origin of the Family, Private Property and the State, where he describes hunter-gatherer societies as primitive communism because of the nature of the economics, which is grounded around sharing all the goods and services and land equally amongst the people, not an idea of privately owning something. So it's much more in line with a socialistic view of things than a capitalist view of things. So even though the thought experiment, that specific situation, I had made up, it was the nature of how the tribes interacted with one another and amongst themselves adhered to that principle of each according to their ability and each according to their need. Just a side note here, given that I'm Australian, I'm a bit more familiar with the Indigenous people of Australia, the Aboriginals, as opposed to other which are Indigenous societies, for instance, like Native Americans. Just a quick side note about Indigenous Australians. Many of their stories in their religion or in their spiritual beliefs, which is called the dreaming, many of those stories include something very similar to the thought experiment I put forward, which would involve a conflict around someone being greedy and someone refusing to share and trying to constantly teach moral lessons about the value of sharing, property around, as opposed to trying to hoard it for yourself. So there's a lot of evidence that the Indigenous people did adhere to what something Frederick Engels would call primitive communism. If you want more information, you can go onto the website philosophycriticalthinking.com. On that website, I have a tutorial on arguments from analogy and thought experiments, which can be helpful if you want to analyze the thought experiment to see what's good about it and what's not so good about it. I'll also put in the links in the description Amazon link to the Origin of the Family, Private Property and the State by Frederick Engels, which goes in far more deeper detail about the nature of hunter-gatherer societies and primitive communism and how the economics change the social structures and so on and so forth. It's a very good read. I highly recommend it. And if you want more videos, please subscribe and click the bell. Thanks.